Today we're at the community garden and we're in the tomato section of the garden. This is a rotation garden, so they did not have tomatoes here last year, but they do this year. So what they wanted to do was they wanted to put down some weed barriers to suppress the weeds that would be coming up between the aisles or where they're going to walk. The other thing they wanted to do was they wanted the tomatoes to get fully established with the wet weather that we've had, of some rainfall. So you can see they're getting established. So this is a great time as they're starting to bush out a little bit to utilize our cages and our stake and to prune a little bit as we start to stake them up and get them actually growing upright into our cages for support. Okay, so the first step I want to do is I want to look at the health of the plant. I see that there are some weeds that are growing around the bottom part of the plant. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure that those are removed. That way they're not going to outcompete my transplant that's out here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for any suckers that are in our branching. So any of the branches that are come like this and we have a sucker that might be in the V of the branches, I would like to remove those. So the first one I see is right here. It's in the V of this branch. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this sucker. So removing the suckers allows for air to go ahead and give between each of these branches. It allows for maximum growth. And the stems are able to, instead of branching and crossing over each other, it allows them for it to be nice straight limbs that produce a large fruit and have the capacity to hold that fruit that's a little larger than if they're crossed over. It's a weak point and disease can penetrate that if it's rubbing. It's an entryway for diseases. It also, if there's a wind event or a severe rain, as we know, kind of comes through, this is a point that as the winds blow, it could cause breakage. And instead of losing one limb, you actually would possibly lose both those limbs and they would break because of that reduced that pressure of it rubbing and the friction. So it's better to go ahead and prune them off and have the healthiest plant possible. I'm also going to remove the bottom limbs and leaves off the very bottom that's touching the ground. This is going to help reduce any decay. This is a way that we could have where it starts to have disease issues that then affects those roots at the bottom. If we remove the bottom of it, it allows more air circulation and the healthier plant in the long run. Now we're going to take our plant and we're going to take our cage and we're going to hold up our plant and place our cage over the top of it for some support. Now our tomatoes are pretty hardy plants, so it's okay. Even though it looks like you might be a little rough with them, they're actually going to be fine. They're going to withstand some movement and pulling and pruning. They're going to be hardy and they're going to continue to produce, as you can see. What we want to do is try to center it. I want to have some support to raise those branches up off the ground. I also want to have my weed barrier. I don't want to be covering it completely, so we want to make sure that we're bringing our branches up and kind of placing them upright. We now can add our post to this. We'll be able to put our post in, we'll be able to drive it in, and then we're going to want to take and secure our cages down. So as we put our stake in, we're going to secure the cage to our stake as it's entered in. As these bottom leaves begin to touch the very bottom, we can start to prune them off as they're growing upright and take those bottom leaves off as the season progresses. For more tips and tricks about how to prune our tomatoes, please visit our YouTube channel or visit the University of Illinois Extension website for good growing tips throughout the season.